And you guys have made massive changes to the rating system in general. For someone who's taken a long break from WoW and was part of the 40-man rating teams back in the day, what some of those major changes?
Okay, so I mean, yes, our raids are now accessible to both 25-player and 10-player groups, so you can choose which suits your playstyle better, how many, what size guild you have, how big your group of friends is, etc. But I think the biggest change really is the overall accessibility introduced through the looking for raid system that we added towards the end of the Cataclysm expansion cycle in patch 4.3. And that lets you queue up the same way you might queue up for a dungeon for a raid. You queue up and you're randomly match-made with a group of 24 other players with the appropriate composition of tanks, healers, DPS, and you can go through a somewhat easier, more accessible version of the raid content. And really what that means for us is, if you go all the way back to vanilla World of Warcraft with 40-player raids, Kel'Thuzad, the final boss of Naxxramas, the final boss of vanilla WoW, was killed by only a few thousand people in the world out of millions and millions of players. Deathwing in Dragonsoul was killed by millions of people around the world out of millions of players. And that's pretty cool. It means that almost everyone who wants to can see the end of the stories that we're telling.
And speaking of 40-man raids, do you think they'll ever make a comeback to World of Warcraft?
Unlikely. I mean, it's hard to say never, but I think the reality is something we found the logistics of managing a 40-player group were very daunting, but also the individual experience of the person within that 40-player group wasn't necessarily the most compelling one. I think when the group gets that large, you're often reduced to kind of a cog in the machine, where your job is you just kind of stand there and press Frostbolt, or okay, you're the one who has to dispel these 3 people when this happens, and that's all you do the whole fight. Whereas, in 25-player and 10-player, there's more personal responsibility and people have to multitask much more.
And you guys are starting to bring back older dungeons from vanilla WoW into new content from Mr. Pandaria, such as School of Magic. Do you think we'll see other dungeons evolve this way as well?
That's certainly something that, we are likely to do again in the future. It's something that we do based on really the story we're trying to tell and what fits the content that we're projecting. So, I mean, we had a troll patch in 4.1 that provided a great opportunity to revisit Zul'Gurub and Zul'Aman, for example. And obviously, for Mists of Pandaria, we've redone the Scarlet Monastery dungeons as well as Scholomance. So, it's, we've gotten very positive reactions from our players to those changes, and it's likely something we'll keep doing.
And what's the one thing you're looking forward to most about the next patch?
So I think one of the really cool things about the 5.1 patch is the Brawlers Guild feature that we're adding. The Brawlers Guild it's an elite group of fighters, and membership is available by invitation only. These invitations can be purchased off the black market auction house, likely at quite a premium during the first few days of the 5.1 patch, or they can be obtained as rare drops from select powerful Horde and Alliance enemies in the new Krasarang area outdoors. Once you get into the Brawlers Guild is basically a society where you can fight your way up through the ranks, fighting up to 32 different bosses that are designed as really intensive one-on-one fights. And so if you win, you advance in the guild, and if you get high enough in the guild, you gain the privilege of inviting one other person. So it'll be this very select, secretive thing that spreads out over time until more and more people can participate. It's available in Orgrimmar and Ironforge, and if you are waiting for your turn to fight, you can watch people who are currently fighting, root for them, root against them, depending on how much you like them.
And when will 5.1 go live?
In the very near future. We don't have a specific release date announced, but it's been on our test servers for a while now, and it's coming very, very soon.